All right, welcome to the Monday Night Men's Forum. I'm Matt of FarmHopLife. This is episode number 45, Keep the Wolves Away. And tonight we have Christopher from SecureCoop.com.
Hey, and nobody else.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Personal event, please.
Yeah, so I went to my cousin's graduation. That was cool. It was like a family reunion. Saw family members I hadn't seen in like 10 years.
Whoa.
And yeah, so we went back to the cousin's house. And then we had, just a long evening of just sitting around laughing and enjoying and had good old time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. You ever do?
Welcome, long story.
Hey, long story. Have you had a family reunion in a while? Has it been a while for you?
About 3 years ago, we had a family reunion from it was northern Minnesota, and there was like 700 people there.
Oh, daggum.
Yeah, it was
wild.
That.
I can't touch
They
that.
had like a really long table that laid out like the family tree and everything like that. It was like 8 feet long or something crazy.
That's nuts.
So we all had to wear name tags and who basically not who your parents were, but who your grandparents were, so they could figure out
so they could figure out who's who.
Yeah. Oh, you're Daniel's son. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Stuff like that. So, long story. Personal event, please.
Personal event. Let's see.
You had a meetup.
I don't really know. What's that? Oh yeah, I did.
You had a meetup.
That's true. Yeah, I can mention that. Yeah, I was. I've been stressed out at work and just working a lot more than I should. And Padre was coming through a couple hours north of us, and I said, you know what, screw it, and I jumped in the car and drove up there. And when I got back, my wife was like, "You were looking at each other." I'm like, "Yeah, I know that was kind of a dumb move." I just wore myself out driving all night, but it was great. We hung out for about an hour. I met Padre and Rusty and Agri Crops up at the Piedmont Triad Farmers Market for an hour and just chatted a little bit. So nice. That was kind of cool. Yeah. Other than that, it's just been my work's been pretty crazy. So.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Moving. Yeah, I'm in a hotel room in Nashville, so.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Work, I suppose.
Yep.
You've met Agora before, though, haven't you? Didn't he, sell you some goats or bought goats from you or something? I don't remember.
He came down and helped us out with putting the plastic on our hoop house, and then I went back up and took him a greenhouse kit or a hoop house kit that a guy that I know has a bender for 12. That's a 12-foot wide, 20-foot long top rail, turned into a 12-foot wide arch. So,
dang,
very nice. It's a lot better than the ones you do by hand. If you buy those, Bootstrap Farm or some of the other ones, they sell you a bender and you bend it by hand. Well, his is like a real bender, and it's super nice, super consistent, very, very nice.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome to do a meetup. Grant.
I don't know. I started school back this morning. I hate it. I don't want to be there. And I realize I am spoiling the cat my girlfriend brought. I don't even know. 8 days ago, she brought me a cat. I'm spoiling it too damn much.
You know she's watching, right? I can see that number.
She's either watching or she's doing laundry. Maybe both. I'm going to start making its cat food. So.
Yeah, I'd say it's spoiled.
Raw food, cat food.
I mean, I'm going to buy rotisserie chicken, take the chicken off of it, boil the bones, make a broth, grind it down, and then give it to her.
Okay, yeah.
What a soft.
Man, I speaking of that, I took we picked up 5 pigs the other day, and I cleaned out the freezer, some of the older stuff, especially some of the cuts that we don't sell, like the hocks and stuff, and we boiled down a bunch of bones and livers and hearts, and made and boiled some eggs that were either past their date or cracked or whatever, and we made dog food out of that with some peas and carrots from the freezer section of the grocery store. And man, they love that stuff, and it's incredible, especially the organ meats. I think that stuff just game changer for those animals, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a few things that happened this weekend. You guys want to hear about raspberries, having to call poison control, or dealing with snakes?
All the
Poison
above.
control. I already know about the raspberries.
I want to hear about everything.
So we were painting a wall in the basement, and we got the kids playing around, whatever. And my daughter's just crawling around, and I forgot I had put out ant traps down in the basement, and I heard my wife go, "Oh my gosh, Lila!" And she runs over it, and I see like my daughter put one of those liquid ant traps like right in her mouth.
Oh gosh.
And so we like rush her to the bathroom and start like washing her mouth out. And of like 30 seconds of Google searching, I'm like, screw this. I just called poison control, and they're like, yep, you just got to dilute it. Like brush her teeth, wash her mouth out, give her some fluids to like just dilute that stuff, and she'll be fine. So
Wow.
we got very, very lucky.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that was
Yeah.
my personal event, calling poison control because my daughter already ate ant traps. So
That's crazy.
How did the raspberries end up?
They look great.
Did you listen to anything I had said?
Yeah, I read all of that. My wife and I read all that, and I threw up a TikTok. Well, I sent it to you, so you know.
Oh, you
And
did?
then
I haven't been on TikTok.
well, I sent you the link, and like,
Where?
hey, I'm like, hey, review. I sent it to you on Telegram, and I'm like, hey, review this. Like, where should I plant these? And you just sent me all that info. So I took someone's suggestion of planting it, but next to the chicken coop. So, anyways,
I got another personal event. This is along the lines of like not tragedy, but I have a gray water system that I set up, and I run this 4-inch line out to a basin, and then the basin drains into a drain line that's under a hugelkultur berm. Okay. And it sounds awesome, but it doesn't work as well as I'd hoped because the dogs started chasing like moles and stuff in the hugelkultur berm and dug up all the plants. Really pissed me off.
Oh no.
But anyway, the drain line got clogged up, so I had to go and fix it because it's like some of the kitchen water and stuff like that, so it's got grease and stuff in it, and it clogs up about once every 12, I don't know, 15 or so months, I guess. And so I'm gonna I added another clean out because the clean outs were too far apart. I couldn't clean the lines with the the little clean out thing that I have. But I'm gonna add a grease trap, not a grease trap really, but I'm gonna add like a distribution box to it, and kind of make like a simple grease trap out of the distribution box so that I can capture that stuff before it goes down the line. But that was my project over the weekend, getting that fixed up. So
sure,
that was kind of cool. I enjoy those projects, man, getting them done. So
yeah, didn't Padre's goat escape and like totally wipe out his garden?
Yep.
Yeah,
he did.
that's what he said. Yeah.
Man, when that's how you make a living, that's tough.
Yeah.
I
took some goats to the sale. I mean, I was talking to Grant about maybe doing a transaction, but we're a little further apart than we hoped, and it just hard to make it work logistically.
I was kind of hoping to deliver those pigs, but I ended up. They were much. I have a picture. If y'all want to, I'll send it. If Matt wants to pull it up, I ended up going out and catching them about 11 o'clock at night, and just got in there, grabbed them, wrestled with pigs. And then I just threw them because in the other half of the goat's pasture. So I kept the boar and then 2 sows, and I'm debating. And then the 2 sows separated themselves by going under the fence. Then I fixed the fence, and then now the boar's kind of all by himself. And I'm debating on whether I should take the other 2 out and throw them in with them, and then just grow them out, for another 6 more months, and then just practice how to butcher come Christmas. You
Yeah.
know, they're already
Yep.
like 50, 60 pounds. So big enough I can put them on the table, kind of practice how to cut with a blade, like, take them down, break them down, and then just either grind it all up as sausage or make cuts of meat.
Yeah.
Grant,
Does
are you
it matter
sending me
if
something
they?
or
Yeah, I'm got busy talking. Does it matter if they still have their testicles?
The only thing you got to worry about is boar taint, and it's not all boars that have it, and not all people react to the flavor the same way. But if the boar has it, and you're the whatever the person, one of the people that actually like taste it, then it's disgusting. It's like
I'll try to
it's just not
maximize
not
this.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Does it
So
does
what
it not
is
show
that?
the whole thing?
You have to click on it.
Yeah, I did click on it. Does it not expand?
No, it does
Dang
not.
it. Shoot.
Yeah. Boar taint is your enemy.
I can't
Okay.
You can
expand it this way.
you can castrate them, man. If they're they're only 50, 60 pounds, you can still castrate them.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've castrated them that big. I have not tried to castrate larger ones. I've heard of people doing it, but I don't have I don't have like a squeeze chute I can stick a 400-pound boar in, because I ain't gonna
Now,
do it. You know?
could I do it? Could I do that with like a California bander, or just take a knife and cut them and squirt them out?
Cut them, squirt them out. That's how I was taught to do it. That's what
Okay,
we've been
well,
doing.
Grant, it looks like you're catching pigs in your boxers.
I was. I was. I just
There
slapped
you
on
go.
some boots and went. I figured, why dirty a pair of shorts? It's gonna
Sure.
smell bad.
Yeah, there you go. Why
Just
not?
out in your BVDs. That's cool.
That's funny. So the topic tonight. Is anybody familiar with the oh crap, Uncle Lucius song "Keep the Wolves Away"?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a song about a guy whose dad like worked hard and got screwed over by his employer or something like that, and now it's like his turn to like take care of the family kind of thing, like keep the wolves away. Make sure you got your bills paid. And there was a couple stories on Twitter a couple weeks ago that, to be honest, just fucked me up. First one was someone linked to like the pair of murders, like famous murders in I think it was like Kentucky or Tennessee or something like that. It's just brutal, just awful shit that I just like I just won't even repeat. And the second one was like this 5-year-old kid that got shot right in his front yard, like execution style, and just because he rode his bike into the neighbor's yard. And so just the brutality of the state of the world sometimes just messed me up. And so I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, there goes my microphone. What am I doing to protect my kids from the evils of other people, or like, certain things, right? So that's how that came to be. Christopher and Long Story, you both got kids that are older. What are your thoughts?
Well, to answer your question, what are you doing? One of the biggest things that you're doing is you're out in the country. That's a big buffer between much of that brutality. It's not.
I think so.
Nobody, nowhere is perfect, but it's just going to give you that big distance. But the word that came to my mind when I was thinking about this topic, it was someone taught me long ago. They said with kids, you want to insulate, not isolate. And so you insulate them. And so this is a common trope among sort of the lefties, is like, oh, we need to get those influences completely away from our world. Never have those books or shows ever visible to our kids. But the more conservative, and I don't consider myself conservative, but in that same kind of sphere, is the idea that you're going to all hear about what I want you to hear about as an adult, but you're also going to hear about the kinds of things that other people believe, so that you can be familiar with them, so that you can, so they could read and watch other kinds of things, information that's outside of what I would approve of, but we would have the the time and the kind of relationship that we could actually talk about it and discuss it and say, now this is why, this is what they think, and can you spot the flaws in their thinking? And that, I can't promise that I've been perfect in that, but that's been my just general goal, is to, just my general direction is to insulate and not isolate.
Sure.
Yeah. Because there's going to be coming a day when they're going to leave the nest, and I won't be there. So.
Yeah. So I might have a slightly different take on this than Christopher, but one of the hardest things for me as a parent is watching my kids grow up and not be rabid anti-government libertarians. I'm just joking. I'm joking, but no. But what I mean by that is, I set out when my kids were little. I used to do this thing I called the daddy tax, and it's a pretty common thing. But anytime they got like candy or cookies, I'd be like, "Oh, daddy tax," and make them give me a portion of it, And this guy, I was walking to church one day, and or out of church or something, and someone had given the kids cookies, and I'm like, "Oh, daddy tax," collected my tax. And the guy goes, "Oh my gosh, man, they're gonna hate taxes." I'm like, "That's correct, right? Exactly." And so I had this view that I was raising a bunch of anti-government libertarians, and when they start to grow up and they start getting exposed to other ideas, they're going to make some decisions and they're going to form some opinions that you're not going to agree with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing them to be an individual is probably the hardest thing about being a parent.
Sure.
And there are times when you look at them and you go, "Man, I am sorry for you, because that's going to be a really tough road you've chosen." But at a certain age, you've got to say, "But it's your decision, and I respect that. I'm going to be here to help you, and if you ever change your mind,
Yeah.
And that's been the hardest thing. I mean, my kids are all great. None of them have made any decisions that are, catastrophic. I don't have any kids that have had kids out of wedlock or use drugs or even drink. I mean, my kids are straight arrows, but they still have opinions, beliefs, etc. That you're thinking, "Man, I don't know if that's going to work out for you." But you got to let them do it. I think back,
fail on things. Yeah.
I think back to my mid-20s and how many times, like during my mid-20s, I was like, "Dang it, my dad is right about that too. Damn it."
If you don't mind me asking, is there anything kind of specific you can give us like an idea about when you refer to that?
Things that my dad was right about?
No, like your kids having the best opinion or view on something.
Well, I mean, again, my kids are awesome. They're all hard workers, but when I was younger, I pretty much had to go get a job and I had to work. And my mom and dad did not have the money to help me. I have helped them maybe more than I should, and I don't see some of the urgency about being more independent financially that I had when I was 12 years old. I was making money. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And my kids are, they're late teens, and the youngest does want to go do his own thing, but the others have not had that same level of drive about earning money. Not necessarily about, like I said, they're all hard workers. They'll work their butt off on the farm and everything. But they haven't felt that need to go be independent. That's one of the things that I kind of look at, and I'm wondering if I did them a disservice or not. And I don't know. They're very capable. So I'm trying to be careful because I don't want anyone to think I'm criticizing my kids, because I love them to death and they're all fantastic. But I do wonder if I've set them up for having to learn some of those lessons later, and I could have given them a chance to get out in the world a little sooner with that part of their development.
What I'll say
It's
to
all
that
time.
is, I mean, for me, I'm relatively young. My parents, again, my dad paper out at 14. I never again had the sense of urgency to go out and start working right at 16. Um, Again, they put an emphasis on school, whether I listened or not. In the point, but then house chores. I never got an allowance, but I didn't have to. We never wanted for nothing. Um, and then after I graduated high school, I just ended up being full time caretaker for my nana. So again, it's not like me again either. I had the lack of work. It's just that it wasn't as necessary to go get a job or have that money when you weren't in like your parents were in a different situation than I guess you were. Where I am, I guess to say.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe there's a little bit more hand holding than you like, but they figure it out eventually.
Yeah, but
It was
again, but
sooner
even
than later.
look at it now. I mean, the world's not the same as it was 20, 40 years ago. You can't
Mhm.
I couldn't go out and work at 14,
And that's the same
15.
as it was 5 years ago.
It really isn't. And
Yeah.
but again, it's not like now I have a lack of work ethic. I mean, I'm hustling all kinds of stuff now.
Yeah.
But that
Yep.
just may be me. It again, I think it may just come down to personality.
Oh, I think my kids are going to be successful.
Oh yeah.
But my kids also probably don't measure success as financial success either. None of them, except for the youngest, is motivated that way.
And I'm not even that. That's not me either. I just
Yeah.
it's a stepping stone to get to what's valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the greatest thing. So, I mean, we all live in the country, right? That's our insulation. That
Well,
Christopher is talking about. More or less, we live in the country.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like 10 minutes from town.
What? So I'm curious. I didn't look up like the census or whatever about where each of you live, but like the closest how close are you to a city of 50,000 plus?
I live
Hour
in
and
a
a half.
city of 26,000.
Okay,
Oh no,
Christopher, you said
Gainesville is 45 minutes away.
Atlanta
45
is
45
45
minutes.
minutes away.
okay. That's
40
funny that we're all
45
kind
minutes.
of right in that 45-minute.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if our
Minute time.
capitals get nuked, we're screwed. I mean,
Oh, did you say
Well,
Atlanta? Isn't that like a couple million?
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
the East Coast, man, if you look at the East Coast like a map of large cities, military installations, and nuclear plants, there's plenty of targets. If we're ever
oh
in a type
yeah,
of a nuclear exchange, we're not
Sure.
really in the best shape.
no,
Montana would probably be a little better place to be. But
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
really like tooting my horn on that one. I just don't like the heat of the South. So otherwise, I'd probably be in the South.
yeah.
But what I've been
I
hearing
mean,
some stories lately of some weird stuff going out like in the countryside, rural areas. Like
Mhm.
nobody's saying explicitly what. They're just like, oh, and maybe it's just like dumb psyop stuff, but it's from the people that it's coming from. You kind of got to say like, yeah, probably could be true, probably true, but like abducting kids like out in the countryside where like you think you're safe and you got your guard down, right? So
well, there's
that's
a lot of things you can do, even in the countryside. I mean, if we're talking about security, and not raising kids, one of the things that I think is kind of weird, is how people put their house like on the road in the middle of the country. Like,
yeah,
why
it
would you
is
do
weird.
that? Like,
you got 7 acres, yet you're right there on the road.
yeah, you're 40 feet from the road. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm,
Yeah.
you know, I would have thought that through a little differently, but okay, you know.
Yeah,
But,
the way like our house sits on the property, it's like kind of right in the middle of our 2 acres, and so we've got like backyard, and then maybe our driveway is only like 40 feet or something like that, and so my son rides his bike to the road and turns around. But I've been thinking about putting up a gate instead of just letting him go out to the road, just because people tear up and down the street like assholes, and so it's like that's uncomfortable for me.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what you when you sent out the email about wolves or whatever. I didn't know which kind of wolves you were talking about. There's lots of different
Well,
things
for
there,
him, it's
threats.
probably
You know.
just
There's
Probably literal wolves.
around here,
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it could be other wolves too. Like
teachers.
I was gonna say education for sure.
Yes. My gosh.
I mean, I know homeschool isn't for everybody, but man, you gotta try something else. Like,
Yeah.
and people always say, you know, like, oh, you know, we got good schools around here. We got good schools. Like, do you? You
Yeah.
can't do better than that? Then you're taxed
How do
babysitting
you know
service?
you've got good schools? Try to go into any public school and sit down and say, I just want to watch you teach for 2 weeks. See if they'll let you do that. You know, how do you know you
How about
good schools?
2 minutes?
There are quite a few facets of the public school system that I quite frankly disagree with fundamentally. It's the purpose it was created. They're basically prisons. They don't learn anything. The sexual abuse rate from teachers and students is significantly worse than anything the Catholic Church has done. That's why the government goes so hard on them. So nobody's paying attention to their public school systems. Then it's the curriculum they teach, and then it's the personal lives of the teacher being pushed into the students, along with all the other gay agendas. I mean, go look at what's in a library. What's being read to first graders and sixth graders.
Yeah, I've looked up some of the titles that people throw around, like look out for these titles, like and that stuff isn't around like just the public schools around here. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think it's vastly overblown.
I mean, maybe, but again, it might depend on how deep in the actual CD you are. And then another thing is the school likes to handle things internally. So say if a student was, hit, abused, raped, this or that, the school is going to handle it internally and not get the police involved and may not even tell the parent.
Sure. Yep.
And you're going to leave it up to a 9-year-old to tell you that they were abused at school.
Yeah, when they don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is exactly what I'm talking about. All different kinds of wolves. Like another one is the content that your kids watch. We were kind of like doing like a little bit of screen time here and there. It probably added up to I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. And this last week, we just cut it out to 0 because he was like having like he was kind of having like behavioral problems, and so we're just like, just no screens, see how it goes. It was awesome. He did great, and it kind of bummed me out though because there was one app that he was playing with on his tablet that was like helping him read and stuff, and he would like it was like helping him like learn his sounds and all this stuff, and so we might like slowly get back into like just like 20 minutes of this one thing. That's it. Nothing else. But yeah, there was something on Netflix we like to watch. It was called Blippi, and it was the most annoying thing I've ever seen. And I only heard it. I wasn't watching it. I heard it. I'm like, oh, this must be a cartoon. But I watched it, and it's like this live action guy who's so obnoxious, and just like something didn't sit right with me, and he's got like
that dude touches it 100%.
Oh gosh.
I mean,
and then like I didn't want
to
to get into everyone's got a vendetta against Disney lately.
But see, the thing is, I haven't watched Disney
we'll just leave that there.
so long. But we were watching Bluey. Bluey was on the Disney Channel, which honestly, great show. It's not just for kids.
I didn't know Bluey was on Disney. I thought it was just an Australian show.
Me too. But then they went to or it might have been on something else. But then it went to commercials. And I'm like, the commercials were bad. And it's subtle. It's subtle stuff. It's small things. It's baby in a diaper twerking. I'm sorry.
Weird.
Why is that in a TV show? It's inappropriate jokes for Disney Channel which is targeted to small children.
Sure.
None of that was in our shows. Yeah, hardly anything overtly sexual was in our shows when we were kids. It's completely different.
Like even ads. Like we've got a book about like for him for like a rocket ship. And so I'm like, SpaceX just launched a rocket ship. Like, let's watch that thing and watch it explode. That was cool. And then the ads like on YouTube and stuff, like that kind of ruined it. And so I'm trying to like skip and like just don't need to see that junk.
Yeah.
Skip.
As far as content goes, I'm an IT guy, so my kids do have laptops for their schoolwork.
Sure.
I put down lockdowns pretty darn good. They yet to get around them. I use
if they beat you, do they get an A+?
Yeah, if they ever figure it out, then I'll give them an A+ in hacking. I use Microsoft Family and NetNanny, and those two together are pretty darn solid for cutting out anything like porn. Oh, and Open DNS, so it's like 3 layers. And on top of that, I do not allow them administrator access to anything. They're always using the laptop as though it were a standard user, not as administrator. Because if you have administrator, it's pointless. They'll just Google, how do I get around NetNanny? If you just go in as administrator and no. So, and that has been really solid. But aside from that, we also have a personal. I have a personal conviction about my entertainment. I hold a very high standard. But I kind of wasn't. It's interesting because the way it worked out is I told the kids, now this is the standard we're going to have for our entertainment. Education is different. If you're listening to, somebody like Jack Spirko and he's telling dirty jokes and foul language, I don't mind that. I have no problem with that because I'm gonna learn something. It's going to be educational. But for entertainment, it's purely candy. We're going to hold that to a high standard. And then I realized. I realized, oh crap, there's some things I'm listening to and watching that are just for entertainment that I have got to cut out because I told them I can't be watching it for myself. And so that helped me as well to bust down on myself and say, all right, if they can't do it, then I can't do it. And so we all hold to the same standard. And that's worked out really good.
You sure do catch yourself in a lot of hypocrisy when you're a parent.
Yeah. But it's good because you're actually aware of it. Because it's when parents just aren't aware of their hypocrisy.
I can eat junk food. You can't eat junk food.
Yeah. So it helps you to be a better person because you're like, I'm gonna not be a hypocrite in front of them, and I apologize, John Paul, for doing that, and I shouldn't have done that. So it's been great. It's gone both ways. It's built a whole lot of trust. We have a lot of trust in our family.
Good.
And so
did you say John Paul?
My middle son, his name is John Paul.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like the creator of the United States Navy.
No, and we're not Catholic. No, I like the I just like the apostles John and Paul, and when they came together, they sounded really nice, and so we call him John Paul. His name is John, but we call him John Paul.
John Paul Jones. From not mistaken, he's
John Paul Jones
of the Navy.
Yep.
Call him JP, man. So.
Yeah, that's what we do. We call him JP.
He's Jordan Peters.
I just to comment on the entertainment thing. We've always been pretty tame about what we watch in movies and things like that. I jokingly say, like, when it comes to swear words, that I'll use a few, so I'll just jokingly will say that, whatever. So anyhow, my point being, like, the hypocrisy thing is the most important issue for me, because if you are authentic about your own foibles and your struggles to live up to what your standards are, and you give them a little grace when they can't live up to them. Like I said, I think the authenticity ends up being much more important than what your rules are. And
Sure.
so, we never did put restrictions on their internet. We never did that. They have phones. Generally, the way we've done it is around 12 or 13, they start doing activities, sports, and church and different things. We leave them. They have a phone so they can call home and they're ready to get picked up or whatever it is. And when they turn 16 or whatever, they get their driver's license. They get a credit card with a very small limit, so that on our account, so that they can have, as an additional card holder, they can start to show a payment history and all that.
Good idea.
So those are some things we've
And now
done.
they'll be penalized for having a good credit score.
Yeah, well,
Have you seen that?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
What?
like
Wait,
like
you can-
those, yeah. But let me finish my point, doggone it. I mean,
sorry, I'm
But-
I
sorry.
just had
It was
had
too
penalized
funny.
for good credit
we can
scores.
talk
And I'm
about
like,
that. We can
what?
talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, those ages are arbitrary. I tried to keep video games out of our home as long as I could, but with me traveling, their mother's a little more permissive about that. They did get into some video games. Most of it was Minecraft at the beginning, but now there's some more. But that's probably one of my battles right now, is like trying to keep that in check so that they live in the real world more. But we try to demonstrate some trust in them. Our youngest, when he was 13, he built a computer from parts. Like, he put it all together and got it running and everything. We facilitated that. So that's what he plays video games on now. It's not a high end gaming machine, but it's a decent, yes, decent. Anyway, those little, those ages, 12 or 13 for the phone, and 16 or so for the credit card. Those have been ages that have worked for us in terms of them starting to establish, a pattern of how they're going to use those things in their life. And we watch them and we're careful, but I did not put restrictions on the internet because we don't have Wi-Fi. They have their phones. So the
question.
device in their hand.
The credit card, is it a hard cash backed credit card? Like, you give them the cash and you use it as credit?
No,
Or
it's
is it just a straight credit card?
we have an American Express account and we add them as additional card holders at that age.
I could do that. I
Okay.
have an Amex. Yeah,
And we
good
put
idea.
them on a $300 or $500 limit to what they can spend in a month, and it's basically gas money. It's if there's an emergency, but that's it, and they understand that. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And you want them to make their mistakes while
Yep.
they're at home.
exactly,
Because if they're gonna make mistakes in life, and it's so much better for everybody if they make their mistakes while they're under your roof,
yep,
where you can help them, you can walk alongside them, and if there's that trust that's been built up, then they can talk with you about it, and they're not going to hide it from you, and you're going to work it out, and they're going to see that life goes on.
Tell you what, when I moved to Montana, I figured out my own shit a lot faster.
Yeah.
Lot faster.
Yeah.
I was like 20, 25, 26, something like that when I finally left.
though, I gotta say though, that's the age when your brain as a male is mature. Finally,
I don't know. It didn't feel like it, but
but what I'm saying is that's the age that from a you're mentally, that's when you
Yeah.
actually mature as an adult man, and it happens to coincide with you recognizing your parents were right for the last 25 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an aspect of that, like, the testosterone levels level off a little bit, and there's some other things going on physiologically, and finally you can think straight. So anyway,
you were talking
Yeah.
about you're realizing that your parents are right, and I think one thing that has been good for our family is that when they have been wrong, we try not to rub it in, and then we try to be easy to live with if we're right about something. You know what I mean? Because they can feel like dad is right, and that's irritating, and that digs at their ego, and it digs at their pride. But
Yeah.
if you soften that, and they say dad is right because he's got experience and wisdom, then they might say, well, let me see, what would dad do in this situation? And they might start
yeah,
to walk in those ways and start to trust you.
Yeah, one of the things, this is a little bit of a tangent for what you're saying, but I try to use humor on those kind of things,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and you got to be careful though, because humor is a lot of times it softens the blow, but if
Yes.
it feels like ridicule, it's even worse.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful, because if you go from, hey, I'm laughing with you, to I'm laughing at you,
Yeah.
and it might not have anything to do with what your intent is, that can really be damaging,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You just,
you have to watch it.
you just want it to be as easy as possible to be wrong, so that they would,
Yep.
confess, hey, I did this and I shouldn't have, and I
Yep.
understand.
Well,
It's just as easy as possible to be wrong.
Grant brought JP into the chat here, so but I saw a short with Jordan Peterson talking about not to punish behavior you want to see repeated.
Yeah.
And he was talking about husbands berating their wives when their wives get dressed up because the man feels insecure. And so the man is basically saying, you look too good, so I'm going to tell you look like crap. And then, a couple of years later, the man is saying, you let yourself go. And Jordan Peterson was saying, no, she didn't let herself go. She's responding to your punishing the behavior you wanted to see repeated. And I was thinking about that in terms of how I interact with my kids, because one of the things that I do, which I am trying so hard to stop, is the kid will do something. I want them to do that thing, but they did it slightly imperfectly, and I will have to point that out. I have to point that out. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
thanks for cutting the grass, but you missed the spot. And then I have punished them for doing what I wanted them to do.
Sure.
So to build on to that, say, hey, thank you for cutting the grass, and when you get it, say when you get a chance, if you could, you then go on and then basically reinstate what he missed as a completely separate task.
Yeah.
Or you just
I'm
might
working
have to
on it.
just let it go.
Just let
I'm
it go.
working on it.
80% done is 100% awesome.
They might notice it when they do it next week. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I missed that spot. They might notice it on their own.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that, because I have one
That's
of
a
my
hard
kids
one.
is really sensitive
That's a
to
hard
that.
one.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for me is because I'm like, I know I can do it the way I want to do it, and asking somebody for help, they're not going to do it the way I know it should be done.
Yeah.
So I kind of subcontracted some help doing a landscaping job, and the guy had to do it. I've been doing this for an hour. He showed up kind of a little later, and that's kind of showed him that he wasn't putting it on thick enough. He's just like it's not thick enough. It needs to be pretty thick. It's pine straw. They have 600 bales of it. We can use it, and so I had to go back and tell him like 3 times, hey, do it, kind of thicken up on it, do more. And it's just small things, like it's just kind of, sometimes it's small things, but like when it's my stuff at home, it's like, this is how I want it. This is how I know I can do it. And then letting go of that for when someone's trying to help you, whether it be a parent or anybody else, they're trying to help you, take it for what it is help.
Well, when you're dealing with a 3-year-old loading the dishwasher.
Oh,
and they
yeah, I ain't there yet.
We're
I'm
there
just telling
right
you.
now. We're doing that right now.
You're like, you want that kid to hey, put your dish in the dishwasher, and then he does it, and you go, don't you know how to load a dishwasher? The cup's upside down. What the heck were you thinking, right? And then the kid's like, I don't ever want to touch the dishwasher again. Of course he is.
Yeah.
He's freaking scared to death.
Other than saying good job and then maybe you putting your cup in properly, I don't. Yeah,
My cousin used to deliberately do the dishwasher wrong so he would get out of the chore.
So my that's
You're making him wash them.
Yeah,
but the thing,
that's I give him wash them.
Yeah,
I brought that one up because when one of the kids was about that age, I lost it, because he did something wrong, and then and that was the moment for me, and it was pivotal for me as a parent. I'm like, wait a minute here. They did not show up in this world with an instruction manual on how to do everyday tasks. That's my job. I'm a teacher. More than anything, my job is to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to switch my mentality at that point from being a disciplinarian, which is what the way I was kind of the mold I was in, to being a teacher. And so everything became about teaching. Now I'm trying to do that now, and I'm punishing the behavior I want to see, repeated, because I'm trying to teach them they did it wrong. But I'm actually, I'm being counterproductive. I'm too harsh on them right now. And especially you gotta, each one of them's an individual. They've all got their own personalities and quirks and stuff, and you gotta learn how they get motivated. I don't, I got one kid. If I'll give you $1 if you do this, he'll jump. He wants to do it immediately. I got another kid. If I appeal to his sense of duty to his family, he'll take care of it. I got another kid that I need to appeal to his sense of self-worth and ability and that kind of thing, and that gets him more motivated. All of them are different, man. Very different. Blows my mind how different 4 kids can be with the same basic genetic material.
Yeah, in the same environment.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's not true though, Christopher, because one of them only has younger siblings. One of them has only older siblings. One has one older, 2 younger. One has 2 older, 1 younger. And so,
fair.
like,
That's fair.
It's
That's
completely different.
A psychologist named Adler, that's one of his big things. He talks about birth order as being very formative, and I've definitely seen a pattern in that with my siblings and my kids and my siblings' kids, and watching how the birth order impacts their personality. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people kind of they're like, oh, I was the oldest sibling, I was this, I was that. I'm like, of course you're the oldest sibling. You are given a responsibility. You're born with that responsibility, whether you want it or not. You're born with
That's
it.
what That's what I try to tell my son all the time. I'm like, you better be nice to your sister. She is the only one you've got. And so you better be nice to her. Like, we got to protect her and keep her safe.
You know what I
Can't be beating
tell
her up.
people about being the oldest? This is a different thing, but I always tell people that I was the beta. So all my psychoses are because I was the beta. Okay, like my parents didn't know what the hell they were doing, and that's why it turned out the way I did. Anyway,
The second one still don't. Still in beta.
yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit further along in the beta phase. Another thing I talked about some of the violence right at the beginning. One thing that I've been putting off for too long was being more like proficient in self-defense, both with and without a weapon. And so
I was thinking exactly that.
We're gonna be taking a handgun course or a class here in a couple months, just to kind of get back on that track, because for the most part, like when we like go hiking and stuff, you don't really run into too many people, but there have been a couple stories in the last couple of years of just some freaking weirdos that you run into on the trail, and you don't know, your guard's down, right? Your guard's almost always down out there, and just like, hey, how's it going? See anything? Nope. Some people are going up, like doing like a bear hunt. They're going to be hiking in 5 to 7 miles, and you just make small talk, but you don't know what people are up to.
And so to build on top of that again is, for me, living close to the city, close to Marietta, Kennesaw, Ackworth, Atlanta, is, back in 2020, we had the riots over burning the city
Events.
down. And that, for me, we had some of that kind of creep into our little small town. And that's one thing. It's like, I don't have children yet, but I have, I've got parents and friends I'm in the car with, and now, my woman. It's like, holy crap, if you're pushed to that, the only way to get out of a situation like that is complete, utter violence, and then you got to go hide, because then you just kill 20 people.
One of the things that's I got into a conversation about this on a chat the other day, but one of the problems is most people don't really know what violence is. Like, we have been very lucky. We haven't really, most of us in the United States have not had to confront real violence. Like,
Never.
Isolated, not insulated.
and so when you see today, like this came up in relation to the strangling of that dude on the subway in New York, right? If you've never seen violence, strangling that dude looks like real violence. But
Like the worst thing in the world.
it
Yeah,
was
sure.
it was a submission. It was a submission, like in MMA, it'd be like just a submission, and he wasn't trying to kill the guy. Obviously, it went wrong, and I'm not trying to judge the guy. I have no idea whether he was right in the right or wrong on this, but people look at that and go, "Oh, that's horrible," or people look at, like, you shoot someone and you kill them, and they go, "Why didn't you just wound them?" And they don't understand violence at all.
Yeah.
They don't understand it
No.
at all. And when they don't, go ahead.
Nice armchairing. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
nice.
and that's one thing. It's like, when criminals commit violence, when they're in, and this goes, I'm not trying to tread water for the police one bit, but when there are instances of shootings and stuff, I'm like, if I'm high on PCP and there's a female officer trying to, arrest me, she's gonna get bodied, period. Because at that point, my state of mind is survival, violence. There's a difference between fighting in a ring, boxing, MMA, or a street fight, where you either leave alive or you leave dead. Getting punched once, hitting head on the pavement, you're gone.
Yeah.
That
When people fight so
don't
dirty these days, like
I know.
when you hit the ground, that doesn't mean stop. That means
that means
hit
4
them
or 5 of
harder.
their friends
Kick
come over
them in
and
the
step on your
face.
head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
And again, there's only one, and I feel like it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get significantly worse.
But the point I'm trying to make is, and I think it builds on what you're saying, Grant, is that when you've never really seen violence and you think, oh, I should just wound them or I should just, submit them, you don't understand what you're up against. And so you're not prepared to really use violence either.
No.
You don't understand it. So, because if I'm the kind of person, I've got a very long fuse, okay? But when I trip, dude,
Long fuse.
Crazy. Like, I am ready. Like, my dad had the same thing. He had these, like, kind of gray blue eyes, and you could see when he flipped, dude. You could see the switch go off. I'm the same way. When my temper gets to that point, I don't care. I'm ready to really hurt somebody.
And again, when you're put in the position where your child, your son, daughter, wife is in the car,
just go unhinged. Completely primal.
You will be nothing's going to stop you. If whoever is trying to get in your way at that point, whether it be police, protester, rioter, anything, is just going to go down unless they take you down first.
There's a quote, "Beware the fury of a patient man" by John Dryden.
Yeah.
That's long story right there.
Well, I mean, trying to learn as a human being to control those impulses and to be, I'll say, more Christ-like and more forbearing and all that, learning to be, more the type of man you want to be, you have to wrestle with those demons and recognize where they are, when they come out, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it. I'm not trying to make myself dangerous. Okay. But anyway,
I'm currently kind of in that, trying to, I'm 22. There's a lot of hormones going. You get pent up, you get going. You need 5-10 minutes of nobody to mess with you to let all that, go away, so you can get back to normal and then move on. And when you're not given that time to just step away, breathe, and then come back with a level head, it makes that situation that much worse.
Yep. Well, I think when if the chips are ever down, you need to know you're capable of being, going berserk like that, because that's what I was trying to say earlier, that the level of violence required to get out of that situation is going to be so extreme. Most people would look at you and go, "You are not who I thought you were." Yeah, you're a monster.
Yeah. I mean, you either drive through 70 people or you empty, your truck rifle, which is you got four magazines, you just drop everybody. You know what I mean? And then you're completely ostracized by your family, quite possibly the people in the car who you did that for, and everybody else in the world who saw you do that.
Yep.
That's fair. That's a very good point. Yeah, it's like I was, like my duty was to protect you, and that's all I was thinking about. And then man, that'd be hard. That'd be hard to do it.
Okay.
Like you
Well-
completely maybe like you ruined your life, and who you ruined your life for doesn't appreciate it or doesn't understand or something.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know that A Few Good Men, when that guy is talking about whatever, I don't remember the actor's name, but when he gives a speech about, I stand on a wall, whatever. The thing about everything he says, it's all true.
I've not seen it.
Well, he basically he's accused of ordering a code red, and he which ended up in the death of one of the recruits or whatever, one of the not recruits, one of the soldiers.
It's been a long time that I've seen it.
Yeah, but so then it's Jack Goodman, right? Anyway, he gives a speech from the I got it all wrong. I'm so bad at these names, these actors stuff.
No, you're right. Yeah.
He gives a speech at where he's like, basically, I stand on a wall, defending something, allowing you to sleep safely in your bed, without worrying about stuff. And it's all true. That's the thing. Like and I think we see that with these soldiers coming back from these war zones we've created, where we've really turned them into monsters to give us that comfort. And then we go, why can't you come back into society and be a civilized person? It's like,
yeah. Send them over there for something you created, come back, completely neglect them, and then wonder what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last point as we come close to time here, that going back to like part of content was that I know my kids are young, and I don't know how Christopher or long story how you guys handle this, but we don't watch the news ever. Like it's not in our house, not on any of like the few TVs that we do have in the house. We don't talk about it. And it's one thing that's one thing that really bothers me when parents really lay in heavy. Like long story, it sounds like you do it subtly, so pass. That you get a pass on that. But like, telling them who to vote for. I remember I worked for a guy one time, and he said that he was so proud that his son called Democrats Democrats, and I was like, your kid's like 5. He doesn't even know what he's saying. That doesn't make any sense.
But let's be real. We don't have news anymore. We just have propaganda.
Yeah.
Whether it be your Channel 2 local news or Fox or CNN.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I think about it, my kids, and this is going to sound kind of maybe a little bit crazy, but I want to make sure my kids love and trust me enough that if we were in a Maoist revolution, they would not turn me over to the revolutionaries. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because that was the way that was the way a lot of these revolutions have gone, is that the youth were encouraged to turn their parents in. I want to make sure I've got. Can you explain
that a little bit? I'm not terribly familiar. I'm assuming that they did propaganda with the youth to turn their parents over, and then
how that went? The youth were indoctrinated in schools and everything to, the values that were inculcated in them were the revolution, and if their parents were hoarding food or anything, doing anything that was considered counter-revolutionary, then they were encouraged to turn their parents in for the good of the revolution. And so
that would hurt.
Yeah, so I've been talking to I've brought it up for my kids. I'm like, look, if there's ever a revolution, don't turn me in, okay?
Yeah. I mean, come back home and let's plant some more tomatoes.
Yeah. But but I don't know. I guess what I try to do, and I try to focus on the micro, and it goes this applies very well across a lot of different things philosophically I'm into. One is, localism is about community, right? And I'm not a left localist, but I'm a localist in the sense that I want decentralized, power structures, human scale as local as possible. So what's the ultimate localism, which is your family, right? So the
Yeah.
micro is my family. I'm a socialist in my family. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need, 100% within the family, 100%. I mean, I don't care who earns what. We're taking care of each other. When you get beyond the walls of that home,
Sure.
that starts going down incrementally the further from my home you get, right? And so, I'm trying to make sure that we talk about the micro is where we are loyal to the micro first, no matter what. That's basically the way that I talk about it.
Yeah, family first. Old
Yeah.
we've lost. I feel like we've lost that really, kind of all over the country. I feel like and that comes down specifically to the newest generation, my generation, and with the bashing of parents and family you get commonly presented on TikTok. The demonizing of relationships, not just with your spouse, but again your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, all that. They're coming after the family like they never have before.
Yeah, it definitely started to. It's been degrading for a while, where like instead of taking care of your elders, you just throw them in a home.
Yeah,
But
and
also to counter that, my own point, I got a pair of grandparents that they don't want to be a bother. Like they set aside enough money for them to basically be taken care of when they can't be on the farm anymore because they don't want to bother anybody, and that's just the way they are. But that's not everybody's style, right?
yeah, like that's for me. I would say I put my life on pause for 2 years to take care of my nana to keep her out of a nursing home because she would have died 6 months after we put her in there. They
Sure.
they they don't they do
I mean,
not
that's literally
care.
the statistics, right? That
Yeah, and again,
yeah,
when she lived another 3 years, um, and again, that's not true. I spent valuable time with her that I'll never get back, and I learned to grow. I took the break from school. I put work into myself, built the garden I had, and started what I'm doing to be where I am right now. And if that hadn't happened, who knows where I'd be.
yeah. Um, Wrapping up here, what kind of final thoughts do you guys have?
I know you
Well,
had said of food, and one thing what my children are
Thank
going to
you.
eat is what I grow. My children aren't, you know, I'm quite a failure when it comes to sticking to my guidelines of not eating out, seed oils, processed things that were made to be engine lubricants. Um, I was failing at that quite a bit, and when I originally cut all that out, I dropped 30 pounds in like a couple months, and I'm starting to get back to that. No sodas, no this, no junk, and they're not going to get junk either. I mean, if we grow it, and that's what they'll eat.
We have like
Yeah.
little things like prepackaged stuff out of convenience. Like it's very helpful, but in small doses. It's not like everything that they eat comes out of a prepackaged. So
Yeah, and again, being a parent, that's probably easiest for you. But again, my career is going to be vegetable
sure.
and food production. So for me, that's kind of gonna be easier than most, is because I'm gonna tailor myself to literally grow food all year round, and then have fruit trees, and then butcher animals as well.
I'll say something about food that's real short because we're low on time. My wife is on the board of an organization, or used to be on the board of an organization that helped children with ADHD, and their number one recommendation was get rid of artificial colors, flavors,
Yes,
preservatives,
yes,
scents, smell, anything artificial at all, and
caramel
That's
color,
pretty
red
extreme.
dot
helped.
40,
It
yellow dot
helped.
6.
They made lists of foods that don't
Will you
have
send
this.
that to me,
So
please?
yeah, I can. And
Me too, if you don't mind.
it's so good that they help 17 out of 20 children go off their medication. So it's very effective.
I
Very
need
good
some
at what they
snack
do.
Wow.
recommendations for
Yeah.
I think I
Cassidy.
need that for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so we kept them on that, and we can tell a huge difference when, like,
Yeah,
especially
I'll
John
throw that in
follows
the show
through.
notes too.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
I'll do that. I'll
Well,
send it to you.
the other thing about that is, when you look at the macros, if you're eating processed foods with artificial colors, flavorings, preservatives, etc., you're probably eating a lot more carbs, a lot more simple sugars, a lot less fat in general, or you're eating bad fats, essentially trans fats or high omega-6 versus omega-3 ratios or whatever.
Yeah.
And, your brain is a blob of fat. So if you're doing low fat, you're starving your brain, and you start feeding your brain, good things happen. I think one of the biggest problems we have in our society right now is basically a mental health epidemic because people are malnourished.
Brains are starving.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everybody's
brains are starving.
retarded. I get looked at so when I'm eating a
You're
steak.
about to get your channel banned.
When I'm eating a steak or chicken or whatever, and I just eat a piece of fat on it, I'm like, it's a fat on meat. Would you rather me go eat a whole loaf of bread? I mean, it's the cartilage of a chicken bone.
When I
talking to a-
increased the quality of the meat that I ate, I enjoyed eating the fat more.
yes.
Oh yeah, I was talking to a guy last night on the airplane. He said that your cell walls are lipophilic. They're made of fat. They need fat. So you start doing low fat, you're harming your brain,
Yeah.
and you're probably setting your cellular division. You're probably setting yourself up for problems with cellular division because you won't have strong cell walls, which will lead to mutations. So that's what he was saying. I don't know that the science behind it, but I thought it was interesting because I've always viewed cancer, my parents died of cancer, as a metabolic disease. Basically brought on by those diets, mostly because of diet related to sugars and all those kinds of things. And I was talking about how important fats were, and he goes, "Yeah." He's brought up that point, and I'm like, "Man, I hadn't plugged that into my equation at all." And I mean, again, I'm not a biologist or anything like that, or a chemist or anything, but it just it rang true that
It makes
might be
sense.
one of the mechanisms. You know what I mean?
I know realistically, a whole lot of the world's problems could be fixed by eating a proper diet. Down to get rid of industrial agriculture. We don't need it. I mean, we just don't. More people would have to.
That's a
farm.
long transition, but yeah,
It'll never
realistically,
happen.
yeah.
That's the thing. It will never happen.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of money in industrial agriculture. It will never go away. That's why I don't care. The only thing I care about is mine. What's mine is my family and my friends. That's the only people I care about at this point. And anybody I can help bring into it and supply food for.
Yeah, I think keeping it local and human scale is going to be important, but I also think that
So important.
that conventional ag, the yields are dropping. Inputs are increasing, yields are dropping.
Yes.
We learned
We're
this
hitting a
first
cataclysmic change soon.
Micronutrients. Yeah.
First year of my horticulture class, they know that the fertilizer they use that is salt based is salinizing the soil, making it unfarmable. Too much salt in the soil, nothing will grow. I've been getting all these farming YouTube shorts about this farmer buying a $20 million tractor and putting in, $5 per acre of pesticides and fertilizer, and then only getting $6 an acre of corn. Who cares? It's corn. Stop eating corn.
Yep.
All right, guys. Everybody satisfied?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was great.
I thought it was great. It was a good
Probably
one.
my favorite one so far because this whole thing ties into what I'm doing. Family.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Build trust, insulate, don't isolate, and give them experiences and let them make mistakes while they're under your roof.
Isolate and suffocate. Yeah.
Something like that.
Good enough. Yeah, you got it. You're fine.
You lose
All
one,
right.
make another.
Christopher, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm working on a coop door opener with phone notifications, and after that's complete, then I'm going to be moving in through the backyard space. You can get on the website, securecoop.com, There is a coupon or below the Farm Hop Life Rocks. Get the coupon there. Get on the mailing list to find when I finally can bring it to the market. Get all these beta issues worked out, and get a free ebook there on coop protection. So get on the website and check it out.
Thank you. Homestead of Pain.
Oh yeah, I ain't doing
The
nothing.
social
I
media that
quit
you care
TikTok.
nothing about.
Yeah, I hit 3,000 followers and just stopped. I'm so busy. I've got another 5 classes this semester. You're not going to be hearing nothing from me. I don't
All right,
care
let
to
me
post
post your
my
phone
thoughts
number
on
next
Twitter.
time.
Yeah, 678.
Hit him up on Telegram. He's quick
Yeah.
to respond.
I
Yeah.
am quick to respond. But yeah, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to do anything. 5 classes. I'm there from 8 to 3 every single day. It's pain.
Too busy.
Yeah, man. Well, you guys can find us.
I love it. Yeah, I'm too busy.
Go ahead. Long story.
Oh, I thought I misheard. Anyway, so you can find us at the farmers market at the Old Barn in Chapin, South Carolina, on Old Lexington Highway this coming Saturday. We're in markets around our area regularly, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. So
Awesome. And I am Matt DeRozier, FarmHopLife.com. We do podcasts, interviews, farm tours. I got one that I'm working on publishing.
Yeah.
I got the interview done, and I'm hiring some guy on Fiverr to do the tour to make it look all snazzy. So that'll be coming out soon. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate everyone listening.
Yep.
I don't know what we're talking about next week. Something else will get me all upset and worked up. We'll go
Sounds
from there.
good.
All right. See you next week.
see ya.